of Pottery Club, and this week we're glazing the coil pots we made. So this is the example I showed you last week. So this is the one I had already made, and this is the one I made during the pottery session. So it's all fired. It sounds like yours, so you can ting it and it sounds completely different, and it's changed colour a little bit. It's gone orangey, which is typical of the clay you've been using, and now you need to glaze it. So in your packs you have a yellow underglaze, a blue underglaze, a red underglaze, and you also have this green glaze that goes on the top. There are a couple of people, I put a couple of different colours for you in your packs because you'd made slightly different things, so I was hoping they would be more appropriate to you, but you all had the primary colours, and you should have white as well. I haven't got white here because I didn't want to use it. So I'm just going to glaze the inside of my pot today during Pottery Club, but if you want to underglaze and glaze the outside, you can, but leave the base free, like on this one, because you don't want it to stick to the kiln shelves. And if you do get anything on there, just sponge it off with a damp sponge. So I've also got a palette today that you can see here, and if you haven't got a palette you can use a plate. So you can mix these colours, but you won't be quite sure what they look like when they come out in the kiln. Okay, so I thought what I'd do first of all is just give everything a coat of yellow. Quite thinly all over, and try and get into any grooves that you've created when you were doing your mark making. Because it's quite a warm day, you should be able to see your pottery dry quite quickly once you've applied the underglaze. So if you've just joined, I'm just putting on the underglaze, and I've decided to paint all the petals of my pot with yellow first. And I'm just going to put underglaze on the inside and not worry about the outside for the moment. Just going to check now if I've got any gaps and get my paintbrush right in there. And try and make my edges fairly tiny. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a layer of blue over the top, and I'm trying to turn these petals a little bit green. So clean my brush and dry it on the paper. And so I'm going to add a thin layer of blue And I'm going to try and do some blending with the blue into the yellow and try and just have a bit of fun with the colours that I've got. So I'm going to push that up into the yellow. And then I'm going to go back to my yellow, clean the brush. And I'm going to go over with the yellow again. I'm going to blend back into the blue. So hopefully I'll create a little bit of green. That's all done. So that's basically got a couple of layers on there. Now I'm going to clean my brush again, and I'm going to put red in the centre of my flower. So paint it all the way around. And I'm going to bring it up a little bit into that blue, and hopefully that might turn it a little bit purple, because when you mix blue and red together you get purple. Just a bit there. It's dried quite quickly, so I'm going to put a second layer on, and then I'm going to return to my blue, having cleaned my brush, and I'm going to now do blue over the red to try and get it to turn a little bit purpley. Just having a bit of fun with the colours. Take that blue a little bit further down into the centre. Clean my brush again, dry it, and go back round with the red. Clean my brush. I'm going to see what colours I've got left and see what I can play with, just mixing some colours together. So I've put yellow in the centre. I'm going to clean my brush again, get all that red off, and I've got some yellow left, so I'm just going to go over the tips again of these petals or leaves of this plant I've created. So that's what my flower looks like, and remember it's going to come out it's going to come out a lot brighter once it's been in the kiln. So the next thing I've got to do is wait for it to dry. It's got to be 100% dry, and then I can put my glaze on. Now if you've got any thick bits of pottery, any thick bits of glaze, and you want it to dry more quickly, you could just spread them out a little bit, and that will help them dry. I'll do that because I want to get on and show you how to use the glaze. So just do a little bit of tidying up. That's my underglazes out of the way. And this is my glaze. So I know one person has got some green glaze in their pack because they made a dinosaur, so I thought you might like green, although you can make green from yellow and blue, but don't get it mixed up with this glaze because this glaze will turn out clear once it's been fired in the kiln. So this needs to dry a little bit more. While I'm waiting for it to dry, I know there are 3 bits of pottery that have got to go in a glaze firing that I've still got. So 2 from one person and 1 from another. You haven't had those returned. They've got to go in the glaze firing with this pottery that you're glazing today, because the bisque fire is fired at a slightly lower temperature and slightly different computer control settings to the glaze fire, so I can't put them in the same firing. That's why you haven't got your pottery back, but you'll get everything back next week, and that will be the end of this online pottery course. So let's see if this has dried. So it's nearly dry. I'm going to put a little bit on while I'm online with you, and then I'll do the rest later. So remember, you're going to paint it on very gently all over where you've put your underglaze, and you've got to be careful that you don't smudge the underglaze. That's why you don't want to put it on wet areas. And with this, it's only one even thinnish layer. You can put it on areas that you've not glazed. So for example, if you wanted to make yours look like mine, you could glaze the outside, but don't put it on the bottom because it will get stuck to the kiln shelf. But I'm not going to bother. I quite like the comparison between unglazed surfaces and glazed surfaces. So let's see how far I can get before I meet a bit that's not dry. If you think you've smudged a bit, I advise that you wash your paintbrush before carrying on, because otherwise you'll end up mixing your colours together. There's a bit there that's not dry, so I'm just going to leave that. So the idea of this glaze is it's green, so you can see where you've missed bits. So these are the bits I'm waiting to dry, so I can just put a little bit of glaze on there and just check areas that haven't got any glaze on. So that's the final bit of pottery done for this 6-week online pottery course. I really hope you've enjoyed it. I'm going to be offering some classes to the children at St Catherine's, so if you want to ask your office about that, then go ahead and you'll find out how you can join. And I look forward to receiving all your pottery on Friday. Remember to bring it in by 9 AM on Friday morning, and I'll come along and collect it, and I'll fire it and bring anything that you've still got with me too. So 3 emojis still need to go in the kiln, and I'll bring everything back to you next Tuesday ready to take home. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll see some of you next term. Bye bye.